Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to your story time. I am Layla. This story is for you to practice English with story. Now let's begin. There was once a small and peaceful village surrounded by green hills, golden fields, and a quiet river that sang its way through the valley. The people of this village lived simple lives. They woke up early, worked on their farms, and ended their days sitting outside their homes, watching the sun melt into the horizon. Life was calm and beautiful, but like every village, it had its share of forgotten corners, old wells, dusty roads, and empty lands that no one paid attention to anymore. On the edge of this village, there lived an old man named Haroon. His face was full of wrinkles, but his eyes still sparkled with warmth and kindness. He lived alone in a small cottage made of mud and stone, with a little wooden fence around it. Every morning Haroon would wake up before sunrise, pray quietly, and then walk to the nearby field carrying a small shovel, a pot of water, and a bag filled with seeds. The children in the village often watched him with curiosity, whispering among themselves. "What is the old man doing every day?" they would ask. "He doesn't grow crops. He just digs holes and puts something in the ground." Haroon never said much about it. He would just smile and continue his work, humming an old song as he planted small saplings one by one. Some villagers laughed at him kindly. "Haroon, why are you planting so many trees? You're already old. By the time these trees grow tall, you'll be gone." But Haroon would simply smile and reply, "That may be true, my friend, but I'm not planting them for myself." Seasons came and went. The rains fell softly on the soil, and the tiny saplings began to take root. The harsh winds of winter tried to break them, but Haroon always came back, fixing their supports, watering their roots, and talking to them like old friends. To him, every little plant was alive, a small promise of the future. "Grow strong," he would whisper, "for someone will need your shade one day." One afternoon, as Haroon was planting another young tree near the path that led out of the village, a traveler stopped by. He was a young man with tired eyes and dusty clothes, holding a bag slung over his shoulder. He had been walking all day and stopped to rest. Seeing Haroon working in the heat, the traveler approached and offered him a drink of water. Haroon smiled gratefully and sat down beside him under a small patch of shade. "You must be tired, old man," said the traveler kindly. "Why do you keep planting these trees? They are so small. You may not even live long enough to sit under their shade." Haroon took a deep breath, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and looked at the tiny plant beside him. "You are right, my son," he said softly. "I will not see these trees grow tall. But when I was a boy, I used to play under great trees that gave us fruits and cool shade. I did not plant those trees. Someone else did. They never knew me, and yet they gave me a gift that lasted my whole life. Now it is my turn to give back. One day, travelers like you will rest under these trees. Maybe children will climb them. Maybe birds will build nests here, and they will never know my name. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that the gift continues." The traveler sat in silence for a while, watching the old man's wrinkled hands patting the soil around the roots. He felt something stir inside his heart, a mixture of admiration and humility. In a world where people often did things for reward or recognition, here was someone doing something purely out of love and gratitude. The traveler smiled. "You are a wise man, Haroon. The world needs more people like you." Haroon laughed gently. "Ah, wisdom," he said. "It's not wisdom, my boy. It's memory. I remember the shade I sat under as a child. I remember how my mother rested beneath a tree while I played nearby. I remember how my father found peace sitting under an old fig tree after a long day of work. We are all connected by these memories. The trees remember us, even when people forget. Days turned into months, and the traveler went on his way. But he never forgot the old man and his trees. Years passed. The village changed. New houses were built, children grew up, and the old paths became busier. Some of the trees that Harun had planted now stood tall and green, their branches wide and full of life. People began to gather under their shade on hot afternoons. The air felt cooler, the village looked greener, and everyone enjoyed the fruits that grew freely. Few remembered who had planted them. Some said it must have been done by the government. Others thought it was just nature's gift. Only a few old villagers remembered Harun, the quiet man who used to walk every morning with his bag of seeds. One summer day, a group of children played near a tall mango tree by the road. As they laughed and shouted, one of them pointed to a small stone near the base of the tree. There were faint words carved into it, "For those who come after me." The children didn't understand what it meant, but somehow it made them smile. They continued to play, their laughter echoing under the branches, exactly as Harun had imagined many years before. Time went on, and Harun passed away quietly in his sleep. The villagers buried him near the edge of the field, close to the trees he had planted. No grand ceremony, no fancy grave, just a simple resting place under the shade of his own creation. The birds sang above him, and the wind whispered through the leaves like a soft thank you. Decades later, the traveler returned to the village. His hair had turned gray and his steps were slower now. As he walked through the familiar path, he was amazed. The entire road was lined with tall, strong trees. Their roots were deep, their branches wide, and their leaves danced in the sunlight. Children were playing, women were resting, and men were sharing stories beneath their shade. The traveler stopped under one of the trees, placed his hand on its rough bark, and smiled. "You did it, old man," he whispered. "You really did it." He sat down and looked around, realizing how much the world could change because of one person's quiet act of love. No fame, no riches, no recognition, yet the old man had left behind something eternal. The air, the shade, the fruit, the beauty. All of it came from seeds planted by hands that asked for nothing in return. The traveler closed his eyes and felt the cool breeze brush against his face. He could almost hear Harun's voice again, saying softly, "True kindness is giving without expecting anything in return." As the evening sun dipped behind the hills, golden light fell on the trees, and the leaves glowed like fireflies. The traveler stayed there for a long time, lost in thought. When he finally stood up to leave, he noticed a small seed lying on the ground. He picked it up, smiled, and placed it gently in his pocket. That night, as he rested by the river, he planted that seed in the soft soil beside him. He poured a little water over it and said, "For those who come after me." We come to the end of Story C again.